All right, friends, we are live. Hopefully you can hear me because I've had a lot of problems trying to get this thing all worked out and get all the sound. But I'm going to watch the chat here for a few seconds, and if you can hear me, just let me know. If not, we'll have to figure something out on the fly, but that's what I'm all about, right? So today, I'm going to wait for confirmation that you can hear me before I start talking about this because I'm going to lose my mind. So I'm going to watch this for a second. I'm going to just assume that you can hear me. So anyways, today, sent out, you guys are kind of wondering what's going on and all these beers are laid out here. Well, last year, for 2017, I did this whole Oktoberfest. Awesome, you can hear me. Perfect. I did this whole Oktoberfest rundown. I called it Oktoberfest Extravaganza. Well, today I'm going to pick it up from 2017. This is going to be 2018's. And what I'm going to do is I brought back 3 from last year. So the 3 that I brought back are Pigeon Hill Oktoberfest, which was my favorite of last year, Dark Horse Oktoberfest, which was my second favorite, and then Dauntless from North Peak, which I wasn't super crazy about, but I'm going to give them another shot. So the newcomers this year are Roak's Oktoberfest, which I don't know if they had one last year, Wolverine's Oktoberfest, and then we have Rochester Mills Oktoberfest. And the way that I have these lined up is I have them lined up from lowest ABV all the way up to the highest ABV. Cool. All right, so what we got is Roak is 5.4%. Yep, 5.4% from Roak for Oktoberfest. Dauntless is a 5.8%. Pigeon Hill is a 6%. I know that because I already looked. Wolverine ties it at 6%. Then we have Rochester Mills here at 6.25%. And then we have Dark Horse here, which is the Big Daddy, and it is, I think this was like 7 or 8%. 7.5% alcohol by volume. So, without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open all these up. I'm going to pour them all. Then I'm going to do the whole, the whole aroma. We're going to talk about, probably talk about the color as I go along. Just going to do a big rundown of these 6 beers. And the reason that I only have 6 beers is I only have 6 glasses. I only have 6 glasses, so I figured it would be easiest just to stick with that. So I've got my handy-dandy bottle opener if I need it. And I'm not going to need it for these first couple, so I'm going to pour. We're going to take a look at it. That's what I'll do. We'll pour, take a look at it, and move on. And then when I get to tasting it, that's when I'll talk about the aroma and what the differences are. I have a nice bottle of water here to kind of cleanse me out in case I need any water, so I'm all prepared. And then after that, we'll do some kind of Q&A or, whatever you guys want to do. It'll be a free-for-all after that. So, first up, and let me just kind of preface this by saying, Oktoberfest, in case you're not aware, are lagers. They're Marzens. They're not pumpkin beers. They are not, let me repeat that. They are not pumpkin beers. Pumpkin beers are not Oktoberfest. Pumpkin beers are ales. They are like fruit ales, or they can be called different things, but they are not Oktoberfest beers. So if anybody offers you a pumpkin beer and says, hey, have an Oktoberfest, slap that out of their hand. That's not cool. These are Oktoberfest. These are lagers. These are Marzens in specific. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into Roak here. Roak Oktoberfest, a Marzen. So I'm going to try and pour this without spilling it all over myself. Right down the hole. And I'm going to put the glass in front of the can, and that was a really not great pour. So that, looking at this, up at the light, super clear, super yellow, a lot of carbonation. I just washed these glasses, so it's not a dirty glass. But yeah, a lot of carbonation, a lot of bubbles. Really big head, but again, could be just my pour. Now we're moving on to Dauntless from North Peak. And I'll kind of glance over at chat, so if you have any questions as I go, feel free to ask. I might not answer right away. This is, again, North Peak's Dauntless. And we're going to go ahead and pour this. There we go. That's a little bit better. Less of a head. Again, pouring pretty light. But if we look at it side by side with Roak Oktoberfest, it's a little bit darker. It's a little bit more of a brown color, whereas Roak Oktoberfest is really just clear yellow. Straight up yellow. It's a little bit browner, a little bit darker, about a shade, maybe a shade or two darker. So we're going to move on to Pigeon Hill, and this is Pigeon Hill Oktoberfest. Again, this was my top pick for last year. All right, Pour this. And it looks really similar to North Peak's Dauntless. It might be, yeah, it's really close. It's maybe a shade, like a half shade darker. All right, now we're going to move on, and this is a new one for me, another new one. This is Wolverine's Oktoberfest, limited release lagers, as it says on the can here. All right, going to go ahead and pour this with any luck. Now this one is the darkest so far. Yeah, this one's a little bit more of a brown. It's a little bit closer to brown than it is to yellow. It's kind of funny how this is working out, that the lightest is the lightest colored one is the lightest ABV, and then as it moves down, the more ABV, the darker it gets. I have a feeling, I know that Dark Horse is probably going to be the darkest. I don't have really any kind of reservation on that, but I'm wondering how dark this Rochester Mills Oktoberfest Celebration Lager, I wonder how dark this is going to be. Hopefully you don't hear my freezer humming in the background. Well, so this one's, it bucks the trend. It's actually kind of between Pigeon Hill's and Wolverine's. It's a little, yeah, it's a little bit lighter than Wolverine's, and a little bit darker than Pigeon Hill. And then last but not least, we have Dark Horse Oktoberfest beer with two fighting sausage and I don't know, maybe like a potato pancake or something fighting. And we're gonna go ahead and open this. Set the cap to the side. No special cap, just regular old Dark Horse bottle cap. And I'm gonna go ahead and pour this. I'm expecting this to be the darkest. Well, yeah, I would say, bunching these all together, that the Dark Horse one is the darkest. So far, the only one that kind of bucked the trend is this Rochester Mills being a little bit darker, but now I'm going to go ahead and taste them. So I'm going to go from lightest to darkest. I'll probably do like an elimination, try to move stuff as much out of the way as I can. And all right, so we're gonna go with Roak Oktoberfest. Hopefully you're still live, because I have a monitor over here I'm watching and it's spinning here. I think I lost you. Maybe I'm choking here. The magic of the internet. Am I back? I think I'm back. I didn't try anything. You didn't miss anything. Just me sweating profusely, trying to get this stream back up. Yeah, I think my connection's not so good. All right, maybe I'm back again. I'm just watching my monitor to make sure that we're staying in the green here. Looks like it's doing okay. But again, I haven't tried anything yet. I'm all still at the drawing board. I am going to go ahead and start. So hopefully just shoot me a message if you can see everything, if everything looks okay. Trying to kind of push the boundaries maybe of how hard I can push, the resolution on this, so maybe that's the issue, but it's always a learning process, right? That's why we're here, and I am going to counteract some of that sweating with a little bit of drink of water here. All right, we're back up. We're good. So we're going to start with Roak Oktoberfest. It's lighter. Tyler mentioned it kind of makes you wonder what color Marzen is supposed to be. I would think it's supposed to be a little bit darker than a Pilsner. I would think these are probably a little bit truer, and this is a little bit too light, but I don't know. All right, so I'm going to start with Roak Oktoberfest. I'm going to do like an elimination, so I'm going to go through and see if it's something that, I'm going to go through and taste all of them, then I'm going to go one by one and start picking them off. So, Roak Oktoberfest, cheers. Oh, let's start with the smell here. Light smell, light lager kind of smell, not really very heavy. Smells a little sweet. It seems like I'm getting a little bit of the can, like a little bit of a metallic scent out of it, but it could just be from the can again. So I'm going to go ahead and taste it. Wow, super light, super crisp. Got a honey sweetness to it. It's pretty good, but again, really on the light side, so it's not too heavy. I could see having a few and not being in too big of not too bad a shape since it's 5.4%. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to Dauntless. And all right. I'm not getting much of a scent at all out of this, actually. It's kind of like there's nothing in the glass. All right, so let's go ahead and move ahead. A lot more of a deep sweetness. Like, it's like a little bit more of a, it's not as crisp. It's not as light. It's a little bit heavier. It's got a little bit more of a fuller sweetness to it. But it has like a little bit of a bitterness, a little bit of a bite on the back end. Yeah, not much. The aftertaste is where that bite kind of sits and it lingers. It doesn't have much of a, it's just a really kind of intense sweetness at the very beginning. Then you get like this alcohol kind of bite to it. And if I remember correctly, I was picking up the same thing last year, so I don't know if they change it, if it's like the same formula or recipe that they use time after time. I don't know if they tweak it much. I just don't know much about their process. So we're gonna go ahead and move on with Pigeon Hill's Oktoberfest. Again, a little bit darker as it goes along. Whoa, I literally put my nose in that. I'm just not picking up a lot of scent on these for some reason. The first one, Roaks, I felt like I got a lot of scent from, but since then, haven't gotten much out of these last two. But I'm gonna go ahead and dive in here. So cheers. Yeah, more of a malty sweetness to it than the last two. So I got more of a honey taste from this one. From North Peak, I got more of a like a woodsy, oaky kind of taste out of it. And then Pigeon Hills is more malty. It's light but malty. Sweet, like a honey kind of sweetness, but also that maltiness. So it has that little bit of a cedary, malty kind of bite. All right, Wolverine. This is one I have not had before, so I'm anxious to try it. See if I get a scent out of here. I'm not picking up anything. Like sometimes you don't get a lot of scent on a beer, and I'm not getting anything out of these last three. So I know my nose isn't that bad. It's not great, but it's not that bad either. So I don't know what's going on scent-wise, but I'm just going to base it on taste then. Yeah, not much. More bready malty. So Wolverine is the only one out of this group that are known for lagers. Wolverine exclusively does lagers, so I would expect them to do a good Oktoberfest, a good Marzen. This is yeah, like I said, malty, kind of woodsy. Less of that sweetness up front, but it's got a lot of malt characteristics. It's got a little bit of a cleaner taste, a little bit of a cleaner aftertaste than I would say that. I'm keep going back to North Peak because that's the one that has just really kind of stood out as being kind of the odd man out so far. So it's a little bit maltier than Pigeon Hills was. It's a little bit more lagery, a little bit more of a crisp taste, like the aftertaste doesn't hang out on the back of your tongue so much. So I'm gonna move on to Rochester Mills. I'm taking big sniffs here. I'm getting a slight lagery scent, but again, I don't know if something happened to my nose in all the hubbub. No, I still get the scent out of the Roak. The Roak's been the strongest scent so far. Excuse me. Okay. Sweeter, lighter, less of a malty kind of taste than the last two have had. Really kind of bright, crisp. Um, I kind of has a little bit more of a honey crispness to it, more of a honey taste, but also a crispness as well. And now on to Dark Horse, which I'm gonna assume is going to be kind of a little bit on the boozier end. So again, I hate to pick on North Peak. I'm probably going to eliminate it first, to be honest. It has a little bit more of a boozy quality, and it's 5.8%, I think is what I said. It's just, it's not really my thing. It's not that it's bad. It's just not my personal taste. So with that being said, Dark Horse. Smell it, of course. Now this I'm getting a little bit more kind of a maple sweetness out of it. Not, again, not a whole lot of scent, but I'm actually getting something out of it. It smells sweet. Yeah, it's got like a mapley sweetness to it. It's got a little bit of a malt taste, a little bit of a bitterness on the tail end. It's got a little bit more of a aftertaste than everything else has had, but it's like a honey kind of mapley sweetness. So I can definitely deal with that. That's pretty good. So I'm gonna eliminate one, and I already mentioned what it is. It's gonna be North Peak's Dauntless. Sorry, North Peak. I think this is the second year in a row that I've tried it, and it's gone out first. So we're gonna narrow the field down here. Let me get another sip of water here. So I'm really liking this Roak because it's on that light side. It's got kind of that lighter quality. It's the lightest of all of them ABV-wise, but also I think it's kind of the crispest. Taste-wise, it's got like a really clean taste, really smooth. So I'm going to start and I'm going to go through and do Roak again. I have all this mustache stuff going on here. It's like going in my nose. So I'm going to do Roaktoberfest, and then I'm going to put it up against Wolverine because I think Wolverine had a pretty crisp taste as well. So, Roaktoberfest. Yeah, really light, nice sweetness, nice crispness. It's almost like a amped up flavor wise, like an amped up regular kind of everyday Pilsner lager that you taste, like a Bud Light or a Miller Lite. So I kind of have to give it points for that because it's definitely going just for that straight up regular macro beer drinker. And I actually kind of like that about it. So I'm gonna try that up against Wolverines. Yeah, Wolverine has more of that kind of I don't know, like craft lager taste. It's hard to keep, like picking little things out of it to say like, oh, I like this, I don't like that. It's still got that kind of lagery taste, the like almost like a malt liquory kind of taste. It's that on that level. It's not as thick or obviously not as boozy as a malt liquor, but I do like it quite a bit. I don't think either of these are a hill I'm ready to die on just yet, so I'm going to move on and I'm going to add this Rochester Mills into the mix. Okay. So I'm gonna make a decision. I'm gonna say I'm gonna move it from being Roak because I think Roak's really strong. It's gonna be a really strong competitor. It's gonna be a really good candidate for that lower ABV kind of beer drinker. So if you want to drink a bunch, I'm just gonna kind of put like a little safe around this one because I think this is a good one to stick with. But I'm gonna go between Wolverine and Rochester Mills, and I think that this might be a little bit of an upset. But I'm gonna go with Rochester Mills. Let me just get one last taste. So that's Wolverine. I kind of just like Wolverine better because it has that maltiness, but it's a little bit sweeter. It's got a little bit more of a bright sweetness to it than Wolverine's does. So, again, I'm splitting hairs here because these are all have been really good so far. But I'm going to take Wolverine out of it. So now we're left with four. This is going to be really hard to start breaking down these four. Anybody yet so far have any questions on why I took any out or questions about these remaining two? I'll give it a second to let the video catch up to the chat as I take another sip here of water. Hopefully you're still able to see them all. I'm going to take the silence of the chat to mean that there are no questions. I'm going to go ahead and push forward then. So, I think I'm going to put Pigeon Hill against the Rochester Mills here, just to see what I think. They're close enough in color, right? That's a good enough qualifier. So we're gonna do Pigeon Hill first, which again was my favorite from last year. When you kind of let it sit and you're trying all these other ones, you can taste like these really strong contrasts between the two. This one, Pigeon Hill's Oktoberfest, has a really strong sweetness, a really strong honey sweetness. As it warms up a little bit, I come back to it. And I really like that about it. That's why I picked it last year, because it had that sweetness, and that's kind of, I look more for like a sweetness and maltiness. By that description, though, this Rochester Mills, I keep wanting to say Hills, but Rochester Mills is probably, it's going to be quite the contender. This might be an upset. So let's do Oktoberfest from Pigeon Hill one more time. All right, and now Rochester Mills. All right, again, splitting hairs. I'm just going to make a decision. One more taste. And the thing I'm thinking about between these two is that the Rochester Mills at the very tail end has this kind of boozy bite at the end that's kind of like, that's the only thing that I'm thinking of that would set it, that I would downgrade it for, because I'm not really looking for that booziness in a Marzen. I'm kind of looking for more of the sweetness. I would like a little bit of maltiness in there. That's my kind of criteria. This Rochester Mills, though, has this kind of just this lingering alcohol bitterness. Yeah, I hate to do it because I think this is a really good beer. So don't take this to mean that I think it's not good. But I just think that the Rochester Mills, if I'm, again, I have to split hairs, I have to nitpick. I'm going to say that I'm going to eliminate this one for now because I'm just going to try this Dark Horse. Yeah, I'm going to eliminate Rochester Mills for now just because of that booziness at the very tail end. I think the three that we're left with, fulfill, or they satisfy three different kinds of beer drinkers, right? So with Roaktoberfest, I keep wanting to say Rocktoberfest, but with Roaktoberfest from Roak, what Roak is doing with this... Oh, it's a pretzel. I didn't even notice. All right, so what Roak is doing, it's got the really light... Got the light taste. It's light and crisp. Not a lot of ABV. It's full flavored, but it's 5.4%. It's kind of like an amped up macro lager. I think what with Pigeon Hill does is they have that sweetness. They have that honey sweetness. It's a little bit harder. It's 6%. I mean, not really that big of a deal, right, between the two. But it has a little bit more flavor, and it's a different profile. And then I think what Dark Horse is doing is they have the heaviest of all these beers that I've tried. It's 7.5%. They have the sweetness. They have that maple sweetness. So it's kind of going for more of a sweeter, heavier kind of vibe. And again, I can't fault any of these guys that I've had, the ones that I've put away, but I can't fault any of these. And if I had recommendations, so if you only watch up to how far are we into this video? I don't know. It's live. It doesn't tell me. But I'm going to say if you watch this far into the video, 17 minutes from when it restarted, from when we actually got the thing, so it's probably like 25 minutes at this point. 25 minutes into the video, if you just watched up to this point, you don't want to watch anything else, these are my three choices, and they're all very good. Roak, light, low ABV, regular macro drinker. Pigeon Hill Oktoberfest is right in the middle. It's sweet. It's got a nice kind of maltiness to it. It's got a nice honey sweetness. And then Dark Horse is good for the heavier. If you're only going to have one or two, it's got that kind of maple sweetness, a little bit of a malty quality to it as well. I'm going to take a drink so I can refresh my memory. It even smells. When I smell it, it smells like maple syrup. It's got that oaky quality to it. So I'm going to take one more sip of water here. I'm just going to break it down. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to pick my favorite. It's very hard when you're kind of trying all these things back to back. There's different criteria, right? There's different beers. They're different flavor profiles or different styles. I'm just obviously going by what I think is the best. So it's, again, nobody's a loser here. These are all really good beers so far. I haven't had any that I wouldn't drain pour any of these for sure. If somebody offered any of these to me at a party, at a Oktoberfest party or whatever, I wouldn't turn them down. Okay, so we're gonna do Roak. It's just a little bit heavier than a macro. That's really all I can say. I like the taste. It has more taste than a macro. It's a little bit heavier, a little bit higher ABV. When I say heavier, that's what I mean. It's definitely crisp. Oktoberfest from Pigeon Hill. It's got a little bit brighter front side, a little bit more honey shines through at the very beginning. It's got a tiny bit of maltiness, but not a whole lot. So Tyler says that Sam Adams is his favorite Oktoberfest. This is a Michigan beer channel, buddy. No, just joking. But it is. So, and then we're going to go with Dark Horse. I'm going to say my overall, again, is going to be Pigeon Hill Oktoberfest. I like it because it's bright. It's got that, it's not super high ABV. It's 6%. Just got a really good taste. I could find myself easily drinking a 6-pack of this. I might not feel too well or treat everyone around me so nicely after a 6-pack, but I think I could probably do it pretty easily. You know, fall's coming, it's going to get cooler. You can sit by the bonfire or watch a football game or whatever, and I could totally see myself sitting back and relaxing and having a Pigeon Hill. So, I'm going to say the winner is Pigeon Hill Oktoberfest, but again, I think runner-up wise is going to be basically based on the scenario that you're going to be in. So if you're going to be in a scenario where you want to drink the 6-pack and you probably want to be okay and don't want to be too belligerent or too friendly, depending on what kind of drunk you are, excuse me, I would go with Roak Oktoberfest. If you're only going to have a couple, if it's like after work or hey, you know, we're going to go tailgate, that's probably a bad example. If you tailgate, you're probably going to drink a bunch, but this is a little bit more dangerous, right? The Dark Horse Oktoberfest beer is a little bit more dangerous. I would say this one is like a 2 or 3 maximum kind of beer before you start getting really, you know, tipsy, especially depending on your tolerance. But again, the winner overall, I don't know, that's way too far forward. All right, cool. It might still be in focus too. Clear winner for me, second year in a row, is Pigeon Hill's Oktoberfest. I haven't had this since last year, so it's not something that I've been thinking about daily, but you can't go wrong with any of these 3 beers. If you have any questions, we'll answer that. If you want me to get into another beer, I have my fridge. It take me like 10 seconds, well, maybe like 30 seconds to be realistic, to go over and get some more. I don't need to be totally drunk tonight, so I would be okay if we just answered questions. But if you'd like for me to just break some random thing out of the fridge, it's not going to be totally random because I'm going to use my discretion to get it. But yeah, so I'm going to look to the chat here. Got my chat up. My stream seems like it's still kicking along pretty well, minus any issues. So Tyler says he remembers really liking Shorts Oktoberfest. So Noble Chaos, from my understanding, is their Oktoberfest, their Marzen or their lager. I tried that last year, and I wasn't super. I just wasn't really happy with it. I think I remember it being kind of woodsy. You know, like almost too much. It was just like too much. DJ Damien says, do a really good stout. Watch yesterday, the review I put out yesterday was Trax Night Fury by Witch's Hat. That is like, I can't stop gushing over how good I think that is. It's been, I haven't done many stouts. Again, I always say I'm a stout and a porter guy, but there just haven't been that many out. I think last time I live streamed, I talked about the Buckley that I had. I still haven't broken that out because it's a bomber. And it's really, I'm just looking over here to see what I have on the shelf. But it's just really tough to drink a bomber by yourself, and I don't want to pour it out because it's, you know, it's supposed to be highly regarded. But Trax Night Fury again, I said it in the video, but it's top 3 stouts that I've had this year easily. And I kind of almost think that it's either knocking on, I think KBS is probably the best stout I've had this year. I haven't had a whole lot, unfortunately, but I think that KBS is really good. I liked it a lot. I think it's maybe the best, but I think Trax Night Fury might be better than KBS. That's my honest opinion. No Jinx says, wishes a brewery would do a barrel-aged Oktoberfest. That would be really cool. I think that that people don't, and Tyler's answering questions about, you know, saying about Lansing. I think that would be actually a really good idea. I'm really looking forward to more bourbon barrel-aged lagers. I know some people like absolutely love Massacre by Wolverine. Whoa, I almost knocked that over. They love Massacre by these guys. I liked it. I wasn't totally blown away, but I did like it because I like lagers. It's just that it's harder to do, or it seems like there's more. You have to crash it colder. The yeast reacts in a colder environment, so it's a little bit tougher. A lot of places don't necessarily have the equipment to do lagers so much. I'm going to just sip on these 3, and maybe more. Yeah, the thing with Trax is that it's released once a year. Witch's Hat releases it at their Fury for a Feast festival that they do, and they, I think, I don't know how many years they've been doing these specific charities, but a lot of the proceeds go to Gleaners Food Bank, and they go to a backpack like charity. I don't remember what the name of it is. And somebody actually commented on that, and they said, "Oh, another one of these places that do a festival where you have to go there, have to travel across the country to get the beer." And the thing is, if you think about it, there are so many places that are only taproom exclusive releases. That's not really any different than what Holmes is doing. It's not different from what Ascension's doing. It's not different from what any of these taproom only exclusives are doing. Like if you think even outside of Michigan, you know, if you think of, I always think of Monkish, right? Because they seem like they do all these releases constantly. You have to go to the taproom to get it, unless you know somebody that's going to trade with you to send it to you. So I don't really see the difference, but it's a once a year thing, so it is very limited. Massacre releases right around Halloween. It's October. I've actually seen 20 as far back as 2016 on shelves, like within the last 3 months. So it's not. It seems like they kind of sit. Some places that sell it, just like anything else. Some places that get it, it sells out like instantly, and some places that get it, it just sits there. Again, it's not any fault of Wolverine. I'm sure that they're obviously selling it in quite large, quantities, or they wouldn't do it at all. I mean, that's business. So again, I can sit here and finish these, or I can go grab something else. It's totally up to you guys. So let me throw this out there. This might be a little bit further down the road. I may be tipping my hand a little bit, but what I would like to do is I have a phone number set up, and maybe we can start to do these as like we can start doing not necessarily call-ins, but more like you can call and leave a voicemail, and then I'll play the voicemail on these streams and then talk about it. Just kind of spitballing to see if there's any interest in that. Would any of you guys be interested in kind of putting, calling in, leaving a voicemail, and then we can play it back, talk to it. Yeah. So DJ says, Damien here in the chat says, do more beer. So don't tell me stout, because I don't know how many stouts I have in that fridge. But I know 2 specific stouts that I have. And I don't want to do them right now because I'm saving them for upcoming videos. So give me any kind of style other than stout, or let's do a really quick poll. Should I finish these, or should I move on to another beer? You let me know. I can go either way, because I love all 5 of these beers, 6 of these beers. What am I talking about? I could do any 6 of these, but if you guys want me to do grabbing some other style, I'll see if I can find it. Choice is yours. My fate is in your hands. Wish I could do a poll in the chat live, but I can't. Pumpkin beer. No, I don't have pumpkin beer yet. If you guys have suggestions on pumpkin beer, definitely let me know, because I'm kind of wondering what I should get. I did a pumpkin beer video last year, very similar to what I did for this whole drink off extravaganza. I think I did it week after week. So the first week was Oktoberfest, and the next week was pumpkin. And again, it's kind of late. I did it late last in the year for Oktoberfest last year, so it didn't really get a whole lot of traction. But I'd like to do, I would like to do a pumpkin beer one. I just don't know what you guys want to see. Do you just want a smorgasbord, like I just go and I buy the pumpkin beers that I can find, and we go off of that? Or are there specific ones that you want to see? If I could even see, like Tyler mentioned earlier, Sam Adams is his favorite Oktoberfest, and that's the first Oktoberfest that I personally had, and I really loved it, and it was like a year thing whenever it got released. I remember me and my friends would rush to the store and go buy the Oktoberfest and try it. If you wanted to see, out of state or versus in-state pumpkin beers, let me know, and we can try and figure something out for that. But I wouldn't be opposed to doing something like that for pumpkin beers. But there's nothing to be afraid of with pumpkin beers. It's just a kind of sweet ale. If you've had a fruit beer, like a PB&J kind of beer, you've had a pumpkin. I mean, it's just literally, they taste like what a pumpkin smells like, and that's kind of, I guess that's probably why they make them like that. I feel like I'm going down the line. I'm going to finish this one, I'm going to move on to this one, then move on to the next one. Pumpkin by Southern Tier versus BIP by Griffin Claw. That's Imperial Pumpkin, I know Screaming Pumpkin, BIP. Buffalo, you're going to have to help me out. I'm almost 6 beers in. Not quite, but I think I need some help. But yeah, I mean, I've actually seen Pumpkin already out on the shelves. I've thought about picking it up, but it's one of those things where it's like, I have some national things that I want to do. Like I want to do a head-to-head, or I guess it's a head-to-head of High ABV by Cigar City versus White Oak High ABV, because it's hitting shelves. They're both limited. I've had them both before. I had them when I was in Florida a couple of years back. I don't even know how old the White Oak High ABV was. It could have been really old, because I think the place that I went had a lot of beer, but I don't know how old some of it was. So Screaming Pumpkin. Yeah, there's a barrel-aged Screaming Pumpkin, you're right. So that might be the next video you guys see then, for a pumpkin style. And I can save it for a live stream, or I can do it as a video. I can record it and edit it and do all that stuff, add all the extra effects and everything. Either way, to be perfectly honest, doing these live streams are a lot easier and a lot quicker than doing sitting down and editing, because we're doing it all on the fly. I've got effects that I've got built in, so and I've got stuff. The only thing that is a little bit harder is the audio. So I don't know how close my lips are actually matching what the video looks like. So that, because I wasn't getting a lot of success, that's the major point of contention that I've had. So Jenny says she's a big fan of pumpkin beers, and she would love to see a review of Screaming Pumpkin. So maybe Screaming Pumpkin is the one that I'll do very soon, because I've seen that. I think they have that. They have it an Imperial. That's what BIP. Duh. So they have an Imperial and they have a regular. And I think I think the Imperial is available at Rochester. I'm sorry, Griffin Claw, and the other one I've seen on the shelves, like actually at the store. I went today and had a little bit of a pickup. Yeah, so one of the upcoming stouts, I was talking about stouts, is Roak finally released the French Toast Devil Dog, and that's on tap at Roak's Tap Room. Is one of my favorite stouts. It's awesome. It tastes like French toast in a stout. So imagine all the roasty kind of malts, all the kind of chocolates that are associated with stouts, but this like overlying layer of French toast, cinnamon, and French toast, egg, and bread, and all that stuff. And it's like the beer embodiment of that thing. And I picked some up today, so that's when I said don't pick a stout, because I don't want to go in the fridge and have to grab one of those, or Buckley. But yeah, that'll be an upcoming review, probably next week. Tomorrow's, I don't know if I should tell you. Maybe it should be a surprise. It's a West Michigan beer, West Michigan brewery. So you know, take that for what it is. Maybe from my Facebook post that I put, maybe you can piece, you know, put two and two together, one and one, I don't know, and figure out what that is. Maybe that'll be a good game. Maybe try and guess what you think tomorrow's review is going to be. It's West Michigan. That's all I'm going to say. So I've already done a couple West Michigan, so there's not really that many options. What about a porter? Well, I guess what is the difference, says Damien. The difference between a porter and stout is really, I think it comes down to yeast. They're really super close. There's always this whole philosophical debate between what is the difference between porters and stouts. In my mind, what I think of when I think of a porter, I think of like a lighter stout, basically, like not necessarily watery, but a little bit more thin. Stouts are usually a little, to me, like mouthfeel wise, I usually think of them as being thick and heavy, syrupy, sweeter. You know, have a little bit more of a body, whereas porters to me seem a little bit thinner. Like if I think of a porter, I think of using a recent review that I did, was coconut porter, Pawpaw. Pawpaw Brewing did a coconut porter, and I did it, and I wasn't super impressed by it, but it's thinner. Whereas if they did like a coconut stout, I would think it would be a lot thicker, a lot heavier, maybe a little bit higher ABV, a little bit more everything, basically, a little bit more taste, a little bit more body. So that's usually what I think of personally when I think of the difference between a stout and a porter. Porters are usually on the lighter side of the spectrum, and stouts are on the heavier side. And again, there's like a huge debate. Not like they're talking about it in Congress, but there's like a debate where people they will argue, they ruminate and philosophize. Jeez, they talk philosophically about what the difference is. No Jinx says the bourbon screaming pumpkin is amazing, so I guess I know what I have to get. Damien, if you think you know what tomorrow's review will be, I'll do this. If you can guess what tomorrow's review will be, I will put it out tomorrow at 3 o'clock. That's all I can do. All right, friends. I finished my top three. Still the same. I really enjoy talking Oktoberfest. I really enjoy Dark Horse's Oktoberfest beer for a heavier beer. Definitely a lot of maple in there, so it's very good. So Damien, my friend, you have accurately guessed that tomorrow is Mo Peas. Tomorrow is definitely Mo Peas, and for that, you win the opportunity to watch the video at 3 p.m. on Thursday, September 13th. So you picked it absolutely. That is what I am. That's what's tomorrow. You know, when I went through these, I don't think I talked about when any of these brew dates were, but these are all, it's very hard to read. This says 7/17, July 17th, a little bit early for an Oktoberfest, but they got to get it out before October, before the whole fest starts. Do you guys have any more questions? Anything else? Do you want me to try another beer? I don't have to. I can definitely. I'm not going to finish all 6 of these beers, but we can talk about beer. Or we can move on to a different style. Again, you can pick any style for what I can drink next, but it cannot be. I'm sorry, it cannot be a stout. It's like beer roulette. I'm just watching chat. See if there's any responses. I feel bad I don't have anything prepared for you guys. Last stream that I did, it was a little bit more, I don't know, not necessarily compact, but it was because it was longer, but we had a little bit more to talk about. I had a little bit more to say. I feel like I've said everything. I'm wearing my Failing Detroit Tigers t-shirt, but, you know, there's always next year, right? The only thing I keep picking up is my freezer continuously running, so I'm going to give, this will be last call for questions, or last call for, yeah. Tyler, I feel you, Lions, ugh, for sure. That, yeah. Not a good performance, put it that way, but same old Lions, right? You can't really get too upset about it. Don't want to turn this into a sports stream, but I could speak uneducatedly about anything, basically, sports included. So currently for me it is 7:52. I'm going to end this at 7:55 unless you guys have anything else. All right, Tyler asked the question. He said, are you a U of M or a State fan, or neither? Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big, I'm not, which one do you think? I want you guys to, that's something I'd love to do. If I could post a poll in here, if I could figure out how to do it, if you can even do it, I would post a poll. So, how many people are watching right now? It says I have 8 people watching right now, which isn't a lot. So let's say, out of the 8 of you, I want to see at least 3 responses. Do you think I'm a U of M fan or a State fan? Put it out there. I will give you, I'll give it a minute. I'll enjoy this delicious beer in the meantime. Put what you think, and I'll let you know. I'll let you know when the minute is up. Gotta figure out some way to put games, like some games or something in the chat, so I can actually, you know, you guys aren't just watching me sit here and talk about whatever. Okay, so Jason King says State. Tyler says U of M, so we have a tie. We need at least one more person for the tie break. And I want, if you guys can answer, don't let this discourage anybody else from saying, but if you've answered, tell me, okay, No Jinx says U of M. Tell me why you think that. And because I'm just kind of interested, I'm just interested in what your answer is. I feel like there may be some kind of clues in the videos. And if you follow the clue, you're wrong. At this point, though, I can't, I don't know, I can't say. So there's clues in every video that I've done so far, all of them to date. I think I have 148 videos to date, except for the live streams. There's something that I use in every video, and there's something in there. I don't want to give too much away, but there's something in every video, except for live streams, of course, that may make you think a specific way, but it's actually the opposite of what you would think. And I don't think there's any, it's like binary, right? It's like a 1 or a 0. You either like this one or you like this one. I don't think there's too many people that could say like, well, I don't like any of them. I like Northern Michigan. I love the Houghton area. You know, like, okay, yeah, whatever. You probably, if you went there, you know, but okay, so Tyler says he thinks U of M, or I'm sorry, yeah, he thinks U of M because of the location of where I am in Michigan and my love of Ann Arbor beers. That's valid. That's a valid point. That is a valid point. So DJ says that he thinks that was his thought too. So DJ, do you think U of M or State? You have to answer because I'm what you gave your explanation, but I need to know what you think. I am not an Ohio State fan. I'm not an Ohio. I don't. Yeah, no. I don't want to disparage anybody, but yes, that's that. I don't go that far. I'm trying to find which one of these beers behind. This is probably the Okay, so DJ says U of M. So I am going to say I'm going to give 30 more seconds for anybody to answer to write a response, and then I'll give my answer. And I hope it doesn't make you think less of me, or if it makes you like me more, I'm all right with that. But if it makes you think less of me, just disregard what I say, because I'm just a guy that drinks beer. I mean, what do I know? An interesting exercise, though, would have been to try these different beers, say which one I like, and then kind of set them to the side, try something else, and move all of them without the actual can. And then I could have blind tasted and said, oh, this is, I don't have really any bias against any brewery, so it's not like it's not personal. It's not like a vendetta. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, well, I like this, and this is the style that I like, and X, Y, Z. So that's what I try to do with all these videos. It doesn't I've been to places, I've been to breweries, I've been here, there, and everywhere that I didn't get great service, or I didn't like this about the brewery, or I didn't like that about the tap room, or I didn't like the bathroom about this, but all this stuff. But I try to be as honest as possible and unbiased as possible, because all that stuff doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, right? Because that's my personal experience. But I guess this beer thing is my personal experience too. All right, so of all the answers, I think only one of you said State. Jason King said State at 7:53, which was a few minutes ago. So the question was, for all you new viewers, which one do I prefer? Am I a U of M fan or a State fan? All right, so the answer is that I am more of a State fan. My sister went to State. I went to Western. I just haven't. My dad used to be a U of M fan until my sister went to State, and then that kind of changed everything. And then I don't know. I always root for. This is so stupid to say now, because they've not really been the underdog, but it was always U of M, it seemed like they had State's number. I know it was back and forth a lot, but when Bo was there, it was always U of M is always this, and there's just so many people that are just, they wear U of M stuff. You can't avoid U of M, so I don't have a dog in the race. I'm not a huge State fan, but I like them more. I've always liked them a little bit more. I remember '87, they won the Rose Bowl. I had the shirt, I had the Rose Bowl shirt, and practically getting beat up at school for wearing a shirt. Oh, you like State? But with all this Larry Nassar stuff, and I heard stuff today about George Perlis, knowing about Larry Nassar and that girl. I'm just kind of questioning alliances all over the place at this point. So it's out in the open. I don't know if I'm anybody's fan right now, and I definitely am not a Harbaugh fan. Sorry to U of M, all you U of M diehards. I'm just not. Harbaugh is just overhyped, I think, but that's just me. So, anyways, if that makes you like me less, just forget I said anything. If it makes you like me more, hey, I'll bask in it. But in the meantime, I went to Western, so that would be my my affiliation. But they had a good team a couple of years ago, and the coach isn't there anymore, so they row the boat somewhere else. But I can't say that I've watched a game here, there, anywhere for Western, unless they play a Big Ten team that's on TV or something like that. So I can't really say I'm a huge blowhard for Western either. Just kind of a guy without a school or a rudder, whatever. All right, guys, and girls, if there's any girls left, it's 8 o'clock. I have been at this for an hour. Last call. Last call for any questions, because this is going to be my sign off here soon. Hopefully, if you're catching this later, you saw the whole thing. My top three were, and they were all based on like taste. So my top three was Roak Oktoberfest was a good lower ABV kind of beer. Crisp, light, good taste. More for a macro drinker though. My first place overall was Pigeon Hill Oktoberfest. I just like the sweetness. I just like the honey sweetness, the kind of the overall package. It was my favorite last year, but it's middle of the road. It's 6%. It's a good, had a nice kind of bright flavor. And then my runner-up on the heavy side, so runner-up on the light side was Roak Oktoberfest. Runner-up on the heavy side was Dark Horse's Oktoberfest beer. And yeah, so running the gamut, from somebody that might not like higher ABV to somebody that doesn't want to drink a low ABV, have your two on the polar ends, and then the one in the middle, the one that I liked the best was Pigeon Hill's Oktoberfest. That's my 2018 Oktoberfest extravaganza drink off winner. And go back to the questions. No Jinx says Harbaugh hater, and right there. And then DJ Damien says, what did you study at Western? I did graduate. I studied creative writing. That was like what I studied. I basically studied like the pillow in my room, in my dorm room, because I didn't go to class that much. That's why I didn't graduate. So yeah, it is what it is. We've far enough removed from that lesson learned. If I could do it all again, I'd probably go back and earn my degree from Western and go to class and be a good student and, get a nice job and make a blank ton of money or whatever people do when they get a degree. I don't have a degree, so. That's it. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And it's been great. Let me know what day of the week would work. Leave comments under this live stream. Let me know what would work best day of the week for you, for all of you to watch these streams, because I want to get the most people involved that I can. I'm going to do some logistical things to get the whole the phone number thing that I have set up. I already have a number set up. I don't want to publish it yet. You got Tyler, you should have been drinking with me. That's what this whole thing is about. We're supposed to be just having fun. So yeah, let me know what day works best for you guys. Let me know if there's a specific beers that you'd like to see maybe on these live streams. I can put a poll up on Facebook if Facebook is the best one. If you guys, let me know also in the comments down below what the best platform would be to do all these different things. I have a Discord set up. If anybody's into Discord, I have a Discord set up that we could talk about beer on there like anytime. Basically, if you're interested, leave comments down below. I'm not going to look at chat, so if you have anything to say in chat, leave it in the comments down below. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Without you guys watching these videos, it would just be me yelling into the void. So I appreciate it, but the thing I think that I love to talk about, and the thing that's most important to me, is that you support local breweries anywhere, wherever they are. If you're in California, you're watching this. If you're in Florida, if you're in South Dakota, if you're in Wyoming, if you're in Maine, if you're in Rhode Island, support your local breweries, because these guys are the ones that are pushing the boundaries. They're the ones that are pushing the envelope and making sure, keeping these macro guys in check, because they're trying to buy them as much as possible left and right. And it's really just kind of near and dear to my heart that you guys drink craft beer. And, support your local breweries as always. And until next time, thanks for watching. Cheers.